What's going on YouTube? It's Chris back with another video today. Starting things off, we're going to be talking about must draft elite upside players. These are players that we believe are going to explode this upcoming season and that will produce at an elite level. But before we get into the video, guys, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We have so much content coming for you guys soon, as well as be sure to follow us on TikTok and Instagram. We've got a ton of short form content coming for you guys. As well, if you guys are interested in playing in a more competitive and interactive fantasy hockey league, we are now offering our own Patreon fantasy leagues that you guys can sign up for on our Patreon. Go ahead, sign up, go back into Discord, and then click on the link to fill out the Google form to sign up for your draft date. Now that we've got everything covered, guys, let's get right into the video. Starting off our video, guys, we have Matt Boldy of the Minnesota Wild, and he's honestly, like, Mike and I were really hoping that he would go unnoticed and that his ADP would be a lot lower than what it is this season. Unfortunately, it's not, and I really haven't been getting to him a lot in terms of my drafts and my mocks. But I think once I've changed my mindset to what I think Boldy can be and what I think he will be this season, instead of, you know, looking at last season, for example, I'm totally on him now, even at his ADP. He was one of the hottest goal scorers down the stretch last year. He had 15 goals in his last 19 games, and I think he has legit point per game upside and should be over 35 goals this season. He's that talented as a player, and I think there's opportunity for him to even have more production if he plays with Kirill Kaprizov this season, another player that we think is going to have a fantastic year for the Minnesota Wild. We're really excited for Boldy as well because he's shown in the past that he can be around a point a game in his first season as a rookie. You got to remember, guys, he's still only 22 years old, and going into next season, I really like his opportunity. His shot volume is already at a great spot right now, as he had 255 shots. I expect him to be over that again going into next season. And like I said, I'm really excited for the production. I think he's going to establish himself as an elite talent by the end of next season. Up next, guys, is the biggest tap-in in fantasy hockey, Evan Bouchard. I know his numbers look very underwhelming right now. He had 43 points the year before as well, 40 points last season. But down the stretch, after Tyson Barrie got traded and he took over power play one, he was over a point a game down the stretch into playoffs. Everything is set for him to break out this season. He will be my number one owned defenseman if I can get to him. Look at his ADP right now. Expect that to rise drastically, especially once we get closer towards the season. People are already reaching on him, and it's totally warranted. Especially when defensemen go fast in your draft, I think you can legit take this guy as your number one defenseman and just forget about it. I would be absolutely shocked if he doesn't hit 60 points next year, just given the fact that the opportunity in front of him, we know how insane Edmonton's power play is, and I honestly would not even be surprised if he flirts with around a point a game this season. Playing with McDavid and Draisaitl on that power play, look what happened with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, setting an insane career high for him with over 100 points. I'm expecting big numbers out of Bouchard this season. Up next is Mikhail Sergachev, another defenseman in that 85 ADP range. Guys, just to note, we didn't include ESPN ADP right now just because of how wild it is. We haven't seen a lot of people mock drafting on that either, so they really haven't changed. Once that gets closer to the season, we will be adding ESPN ADP for you guys that play in that league. So just use this as a general guide for right now. But Sergachev has so much upside going into next season. He took over that number one power play role from Hedman last year, and Tampa last year was a top 3 team on the power play. And that explains why Sergachev's production was so good last season. 64 points, 27 power play points, 156 shots, 128 blocks, 128 hits, 149 blocks. He's a peripherals machine on top of that with legit 65 to 70 point upside. I still think we are counting Hedman out a little bit too soon, but for right now, all the signs point to Sergachev as the number one guy there, especially on the power play, and I expect him to have another great year and establish himself as that elite defenseman, especially in fantasy. Up next, guys, I have Cole Caufield of the Montreal Canadiens, or should I say Goal Caufield. Last season, he was at a .57 goals per game, which ranked him 13th in the NHL above guys like Jason Robertson, Jack Hughes, and Matthew Tkachuk. In the last 83 games that he's played, when Martin St. Louis was the head coach, his totals were 48 goals and 71 points in that 83 game span. I found that stat on Twitter. I'd love to be able to find it again to credit whoever found that information. I think if he stays healthy, he has 50 goal upside in him. I don't think that's out of the question at all. The real concern and why Caufield is a little bit more risky than some of these other players, I'm really hoping he stays healthy this year, and I'm anticipating a big year out of him if he does. We know Montreal is going to be bad again, but he's shown that he's able to produce at this rate while playing on this offense, so I'm not worried about him whatsoever. He plays on that top line with Nick Suzuki, who's an elite playmaker. Caufield could be a league winner next year given his ADP. Another guy in that later range that we're really high on and I think still has elite upside going into next season is Dylan Cozens of the Buffalo Sabres. Had 68 points last year as a 21-year-old, and I'm expecting him to be over the 70-75 point range this season. Played top line down the stretch with Tage Thompson when Buffalo was pushing for playoffs. They moved Tage to the right wing, so there is a possibility that they go back to that, especially with Jack Quinn being out. I'm not 100% sold on the goal scoring just yet. He did see a massive rise in his shooting percentage by around 6% last season, so it's something just to be a little bit hesitant about, but I'm expecting his time on ice to also go up as well, as he was under that 17-minute mark. I'm expecting him to be around 18 minutes, maybe even over, depending on where they play him, but he should be a lock in the top 6 in Buffalo with that potential to center the top line. Finishing up my elite upside players video, I have Trevor Zegras of the Anaheim Ducks. I almost left him off this list, but after just looking at his numbers, I had to put him on here. There is just no way that he's going to be a 60-point guy in his career. He's too talented for that. He's just so elite in terms of his skill with the puck and his passing as well. I'm convinced that he's going to be a 75, around a point a game player. They have Troy Terry locked up now, so you don't have to worry about him going anywhere. McTavish is going to get better again this year, and they now have Leo Carlsson, another offensive element to add into that top 6. Same situation as Montreal, where I think Anaheim's going to be bad again this year, but even still, he's going to be an elite player for years to come. I'm expecting him around that 70-plus point range, similar to the guys that I mentioned before. And I just think based off of his ADP, I'm taking a shot on this guy every single time. If you go back to his NCAA numbers and his World Junior numbers, he's always been above a point a game, guys. I'm really excited to see Zegras again this year. He's falling in drafts right now. I'm all over Zegras. That's going to do for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, as well as check out our other social platforms. Thank you guys so much for watching. We've got so much content coming for you guys all through September, so be sure to stay tuned for that. I will see you guys in the next video. Have yourselves a fantastic rest of the day.